Moon Knight, issue number 2. That's right, folks. He's getting a TV show. He's getting an ongoing comic book. The first issue was really interesting. You know, it did a lot to kind of like reestablish the character to people that might not know him. It satisfied a lot of old fans from what I've read online. I liked it a lot. I won't say it was my favorite interpretation of the character, but I had a good time reading it. And come issue 2 here, I think I finally feel the feeling that Jed MacKay's going for, and that's like the From the Dead arc, where it's like quiet but big. Those kind of like softer ideas presented with like the gravitas that is the Moon Knight character. And I think it works for the most part. This issue, it's fine. It didn't blow me away the way I was hoping it to. There's certain moments in here that did impress me a lot, and I'm like, wow, that is a really cool concept. I love the idea and the story behind that because it's very coincidentally Moon Knight, and I really like it. And there's other things where I'm just like, yeah, okay, that's kind of fun. So we open up this book. We see a man is getting attacked by these people. They got like red glowing eyes. They are dark, and they're just screaming like, we want you, sport, for the hell of it. Something just like attacking this man. We don't really know what it is. Then we cut to the Midnight Mission, and we confirm something I thought about in the last issue, and that is that Reese, this new person that is working for Mark Spector, is actually a vampire. We see her drinking the blood from a patient, and I think that's kind of interesting. You know, we've teased and played with the idea of horror being an essential thing in a Moon Knight book, and here they're just confirming that it's going to be one, which I'm okay with. I like it a lot. Like, okay, he's friends with a vampire now. That works for the character. Again, I love the way that the art just, like, illuminates the character of Moon Knight against all the backgrounds, where it's just so different. He stands out so much, which I think is a very important thing that a lot of writers have been trying to state, is that this guy wants to be seen. And I love the way that this art just illustrates that. It looks really cool. So they're just chatting, and then this man walks in, and he's like, I need your help. You're that crazy guy that helps people, right? Reese knows who this guy is. He's kind of called Soldier around everything. Everyone knows him by that name. They're kind of like living on the same block. And he's trying to sit down and just scheme, like, there's this like whole group of these elderly people that like attacked me with like a knife and a hammer. That seemed like to have like this weird thing. They were all chanting the same thing. But he's like, I didn't want to hurt any of them. I didn't want to hurt her specifically. And we realized that the her that he didn't want to hurt was his mother. So his mother's kind of being controlled by whatever is going on with these people. And so we see that Mark's trying to stitch him up, and as he's like getting the blood off of this man and Soldier's trying to like heal himself, Reese is like dripping with the blood of this man, and she's trying to lick it, so she needs to like leave the room before she gets carried away. So she kind of storms out, and it leaves Moon Knight to help him in his own right. So we see that Mark kind of like suits up to do the Mr. Knight thing, and he's like, okay, something's obviously going on here, so let's go figure out what this is. They're walking down the streets, and again, this is kind of just like that classic From the Dead era of Moon Knight, where it's just like, we got a problem, we're going to solve it, wear the Mr. Knight suit, walk into some random building and help the people out. I get it. I don't have any problem with that. I just think like, okay, I see what you're doing here. You're building it up in a different way, which I kind of appreciate. Like, there's a line earlier on in the book where it's like, I'm a priest and I was a soldier, so it's kind of like showing we're going to be playing with like the religious aspect a little bit more than some other books, which I think is kind of cool because that's something I really like when they dive into with this character, is the religious aspects. It just adds something to that. I think it's really cool. So they're walking through this apartment building. They see the janitor. His name is Holly. He calls him Sport, which is like a reference to what we saw him say earlier. So as they enter into Soldier's mom's apartment, we see that Moon Knight goes, all right, we shouldn't be here. This is obviously a setup. So when they leave the room again, there's all these old people ready to attack him. We see that Mark caught on really quick that this Holly guy is the one responsible. So basically, to sum everything up for what we are about to see happen in this Moon Knight book, we see that Holly can control people through his sweat. And when they drink this sweat or like inhale his sweat or just like absorb his sweat, he can control them. It's just like a mind thing where he messes with their mind like a telephone wire. And he's like, okay, so you've probably been, doping it up in the water supply? And it's like, yep, that's pretty much it. So this guy is working for somebody. We don't say who he's working for. It could be teased that it's Hunter's Moon. I don't think it's going to be Hunter's Moon because that's just like, why would he do it this way? You know, Hunter's Moon is just kind of like going to be like, I'm the rightful heir and the apostle of Khonshu. Why he would use this guy, I don't know. I bet we're going to set something up where Holly's working for someone else. But basically, he's trying to tell Moon Knight, like, you can do whatever you want here, but I don't think you're going to kill a bunch of old people or cripple them. So let's see what you're really made of, in a sense. Like, let's see what you're really going to do to get out of this situation. And we see that Holly does infect soldiers. So now there's a gun pointed at Mark. And in classic Moon Knight fashion, I think this is really key to the character. He's just like, all right, so obviously this is an interesting situation. And, you say you don't have imagination, but I say that's bull. I think we should, challenge this idea. So Holly's like, what are you talking about? It's like, let's go one-on-one, you and me right now, brain to brain. I'll take some of your sweat, like the pure source right from you, and see if I can survive it or take it in the way that none of these other people could. Let's do it. Let's see what you got, buddy. And we see Holly's like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, dude. But sure, if you want to risk it, go ahead. So Mark takes some sweat, puts it on one of his moons. He starts to drink it up. And basically he's like, all right, let's see what you got for me, buddy. He's like, Holly, you want to do this thing. And you want to show that you're like this badass guy. It's like, you've never seen anything like what's in my head, I'm not even talking about the mental illness. I'm sure something like dissociative identity disorder is like an old hat for you. But I'm talking about like my weird thoughts, like the darkness inside of me. And we see that this darkness suddenly consumes around Holly. There's this like really destructive thing around him. It's like this weird, like symbiotic thing pulling him under. It's kind of like attacking him and pulling him down. And we see like, okay, this is really dark and disturbing, but I really like it. Now, I'm not going to read every single piece of like narration that Moon Knight gives in here, but I think it's very interesting. It's like, I was surrounded by darkness, and this is like what I control. You are just like some guy. I was this chosen being destined to be the protector of the night, worshipped by these people. I was chosen by a god to be like this creature and this being. And we see like the shadowy figure of this moon illuminating through the darkness, and hands are reaching out from it. And it's like, mine is the silver madness that illuminates but does not warm. Come and worship. And like a ginormous Moon Knight just emerges from the moon, just looking like a monster inside this guy's mind, literally affecting him with these tendrils and these symbiotic things coming off of him. This is gorgeous. Cappuccio's art is, this is it. I'm just thinking like, this is like what we needed for the character, just like these vibrant, dark, disturbing pages showing where this character can go compared to other ones in the Marvel Universe. And I think this really exemplifies that, and he's just talking like, my brain was touched by the gods. I have been favored by so many people, and it's ruined me and affected me. You put that on top of the mental illness, I'm a lost cause. Like, this is my poisoned ground. This is my temple, and I can do whatever I want here to just like take you down. So we see that these like sarcophaguses start to appear and they wrap up Holly. Then we see like the pockets appearing on like the belt of Moon Knight, and we're just like, okay, are these like, is this like a new way of explaining how like he emerges as these different people? I'm seeing it kind of as, okay, he's locked up Stephen Grant, he's locked up Jake Lockley, now he's locking up this Holly guy, literally keeping his personality inside of him. I don't know if that's what we're seeing here, but it's just like, okay, we're not going to be seeing Grant or Lockley in this, are we? This is the subtle way of showing these characters are kind of benched for now, where they're kind of like stuck inside of Mark's brain. I think that's kind of cool. So Moon Knight just emerges back to his normal self. Every old person in the room, including Soldier, just comes back to normal. They snap back to their normal reality. And we see that Holly is just like a broken husk of a person just lying on the ground. Then we cut back to the midnight mission, and we see that Mark walks in, and you see Reese has got Terry to help her out, and she's just like, yeah, that was a lot, dude. You literally forced me to do something I didn't want to do. And Mark's like, I know, it was just like on the spot thing. I'm sorry I forgot about your condition. And again, it seems like Reese is like a fairly recent vampire, so she's kind of just like not used to the whole experience yet, which I think is kind of cool. I mean, I'm still confused why we haven't seen, well, maybe confused is the wrong word. I'm suspicious as to why we haven't seen any of the recurring characters from Moon Knight's past in here. Like, I think you could definitely put some of them in this role. I think it would make sense if it was Gina or Marlene or any of that. I'm going to assume there's some other connection here that we're building to, but I think it's pretty interesting. So basically, they just kind of like relax, and it's just like, people like you and me, Reese. We're these different people. We're changed by the world that built us, and we have these fundamental things wrong with us. But you know what? We use our power, we overcome it, and we defeat our enemies. And Reese is like, sure, that sounds great. I'm sure we're a lot alike, but I don't have any enemies. And okay. And we see from the shadows that Hunter's Moon is watching him from above, and it's just like, okay, that's an interesting place to end the book. And I think we're going to see Hunter's Moon as like the big bad in the next one. And, this issue was pretty cool. It didn't blow me away, but I don't think it needed to. This is like going to be very new reader friendly, which is something Moon Knight has desperately needed. It's like a great jumping on point for the character that will entice people to go back. It plays with like the theology of Moon Knight in a beautiful way, which I love to see. And the artwork is just really crisp. And I love the way that Mark just stands out in every scene. Like, just the small amount of illumination coming off the character just really adds something to this look and makes it infinitely times better than what people might be expecting. It looks cool. It feels like the From the Dead run, which is not my favorite run of Moon Knight. I've talked about my favorite runs before. It's not up there, but I enjoy that a lot. I enjoy the feeling of this book. It feels like this is a Mark Spector who is certain of himself and is like, I have made mistakes, I have messed up, and now I'm making amends for that. I love a redemption arc for Mark Spector because it's really cool to see. And playing with the religious aspect of all that stuff kind of adds to it too. So I really enjoyed what this book had to say. It's not the best Moon Knight book, but I think it's a really great start. And, coming up in later issues, I'm very excited to see what's coming up because I have some thoughts on issue 4, which I cannot wait to get to. But until then, I think these first 2 issues of Moon Knight are very serviceable and are going to make new fans happy and old fans ecstatic that the character is being portrayed in a really positive light. So, Moon Knight, issue number 2, I am going to give a 7 out of 10. And thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and I will catch you in the next one. Have fun, stay safe, good luck.